It is an emotional day for Swans ruckman Jason Ball for many reasons. Firstly, it's his last game ever of AFL football. Secondly, of course, he's an Eagles premiership player playing against his old team. And thirdly, he is playing for a man by the name of Wally Jackson, the legendary Swans trainer who sadly passed away during a match last year.
A big win for that man, Jason Ball, who was a pallbearer at Wally Jackson's funeral during the week. And they've done that one for Wally tonight.
It'd be nice to have him at the ground. He put so much time and effort into this club and the players here. It'd be nice to give something back to Wally. It'd be nice to have him out in the Oval with us. You know, it's footy war, and you want the best people you can to go to war with, and Wally was certainly one of those.
I've been involved in a lot of grand finals, but I think this bloke's now world famous, isn't he?
Tyconelli,
yeah.
How much pressure on Barry Hall today?
Look, I spoke to him yesterday. I thought both him and Roosie were very relaxed. It's been the karma of the team, hasn't it? That they've been a pretty relaxed bunch of guys, and they're pretty motivated, obviously, to do what they want to do next.
Oh, yeah, Barry, you've got to take the top off before you have a drink, Barry.
Yeah, accept that.
Exactly right. But you mentioned Barry Hall. He played a great game last week. He was back to his physical best, and listen, I'm pretty sure he would have been happy that the tribunal hearing was all over and done by Tuesday. He wouldn't have wanted that lurking on to about Thursday.
And he said he wasn't going to temper his aggression today? Despite what happened?
No,
can't afford to.
No, and you don't have to be silly about that. I mean, you can attack the ball. Most accidents, most of the hurtful ones I've seen in footy are the guy really attacking the ball and unfortunately an opposition player's in the way.
Jason Ball, the back of Jason Ball there, his last game of AFL football. What a way to go out, hopefully for him, on a winning note.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't play tricks on his mind that, this is my last game, let's do anything. You just should try and play like he's done forever in his career.
Well, that's exactly right, Malcolm. I mean, you can go out of your way and probably knock someone off, but at the end of the day, it's about winning the football, and I'm pretty sure Paul Roos, we see him there on screen, would have addressed that to his players.
The human being can't be so relaxed as him.
Oh, no, I think Paul, like everybody, gets very, very nervous on grand final day. I don't know anyone that hasn't, and I said on my first grand final
back in 1975,
30 years ago.
Can you remember back?
I was nervous as hell, and quite frankly, the 10th one I was involved in, I was just as nervous. So I don't think. I mean, you hope everything goes right, and you just right there now. There's not too much pressure on it. You're just looking.
You hear these theories espoused that you can play your grand final before you get out there. Can you explain that too?
Oh, I think you can, because your focus is reading the newspapers, watching every football show on TV. So I mean, you're watching so much football and you're thinking about it so much. But obviously, I'm pretty sure that would have been addressed throughout each of those clubs, and their preparation would be spot on.
All right, before we analyse things a little closer in terms of the events of the week, what about those changes? If Tim Gossage is right and Green and Adkins comes in, Wolsey, 7 games and 2 games they've played for the year.
Yeah, but I still think it's the right way to go because
they go small and they're fit.
They played Gasper last week, and that was his first game for 18 months, and he did his job. Now, Gasper may not be needed today. You've got to play players who are needed. Little Matera goes out. I think Damien Adkins would be a beauty to take his spot because he's got a lot of pace and can kick goals. Former Collingwood player, of course. And Casey Green can play defensively tight anywhere over the ground.
It's a sign, surely, though, of a serious problem, isn't it? That they've got to do that on grand final day to try and find some goal-kicking power. I mean, it verges on desperation, but there probably aren't many other options.
Yeah, it makes you think, like what Malcolm said, that perhaps Daniel Chick will start in defence. He started up forward last week and kicked those important 3 goals, but he did a pretty good job on O'Loughlin in that final over in Perth 3 weeks ago, so perhaps Chick stays in defence and they try Adkins in the forward pocket.
Malcolm, the Brownlow medal count during the week, Ben Cousins winning, obviously a lot being made about whether that'll affect him. He seems unflappable completely this week, doesn't he? But there's also Daniel Kerr to consider as well, who came so close to winning a Brownlow. You did it in 78 and then fronted up. Will it have much effect on Ben, do you think?
Look, I don't think so. The way he's handled the whole thing, but I must say one of the things, and this is having been through Paul Couch, having won in a grand final as well, is that you actually try and be the same, and you say to yourself, just be the same, when you really shouldn't be saying anything. Just go out and play. So it's a bit hard to control. I've seen some blokes handle it, others not.
I was talking to him yesterday and he said that the night over in Perth was very subdued, and that 15 minutes after it ended and he'd received his Brownlow medal, it was all over and everyone went home. I actually felt quite sorry for him because he, and others, particularly from Brisbane in recent years, have been in this position. He wasn't really able to let loose and enjoy the night. And I don't mean drink too much or anything like that, but to really let go. He's had to contain himself, and I think he's capable of that. I mean, he's shown before that he can compartmentalise. He'll get on with it, and I reckon he'll play well.
And maybe even more reason, Tim, why the Brownlow should be the first Monday of the first week of finals instead of grand final.
He's been shortchanged. He hasn't been able to enjoy the night on which he won the Brownlow medal.
No, I disagree. I reckon it should be in part of grand final week. I know I went through it and I got wounded, didn't play very well, and a lot of guys have. I don't think you'd swap it. I just reckon it helps the whole week, to be honest.
Yeah, very few players have played really well on grand final day, though, after winning a Brownlow medal. We'll see how Ben Cousins goes today. Certainly a vital player for the Eagles. In fact, if you look at the stats when they've won versus when they've lost, he is the one whose figures are much better when they win than when they lose. So we'll see how he goes this afternoon. The qualifying final was, we were over there in Perth. It was an amazing night, wasn't it, as the Swans and the Eagles did battle, and Eagles started well, Swans came back, Eagles finished well and managed to win the game. There were some crucial decisions in it, wasn't there? Some crucial moments.
Well, obviously the free kick here, that's where Leo Barry, he crashes into Stingline, the man on the mark, and for some reason they gave a free kick to Tyson Stingline, who went back and kicked a goal. Now, I think the umpires themselves have admitted they got that wrong. So I guess we won't see that one happen today, Hutto, but you never know. It was a really good contest. I think the West Coast Eagles learnt a lot, and that was that they kicked one goal in quarters 2 and 3 with a top-heavy forward line, and then John Worsfold changed his forward structure, Hunter went forward, and Cousins spent most of that last quarter up forward, and they kicked 5 goals to win the game.
You were very critical on the night, as a number of people were. Let's, in fact, have a closer look at the second quarter in particular. We can have a look at just what went on in terms of plotting where they took their marks, and this is between the Swans and the Eagles. The marks they took inside 50, you can see all the marks the Swans took there, 7, and only 2 for the Eagles, even though the Eagles had plenty of the ball.
Yeah, well, again, those marks were taken by Michael Gardner, and they just didn't have marks taken by other players. The West Coast Eagles do get most of their goals in general play, not from marks by permanent forwards, and it was certainly obvious this night over there 3 weeks ago, and the worry for the West Coast Eagles that once the ball hit the deck, the running Swans were able to rebound it so easily.
The plaudits went to the Swans in a funny sort of way out of that game, didn't they? Largely because of that controversial decision in the last quarter, and yet the Eagles did a mighty job, actually, having had those 2 really bad quarters, to come back and kick 5 in the last quarter. When it had to be done, they did it.
And there's Hunter thrusting forward. Blighty, do you reckon Hunter could start forward again, or do you think it'll be a manoeuvre that almost a Billy Duckworth that he has up his sleeve?
Look, I think the latter. I think he'll start. I thought last week he'd start forward line, it didn't. I think they'll keep him back there. I think John Worsfold likes to keep his defence reasonably settled. The thing with all those Eagle players is who's trying to kick the goals is you've got to remember Gardner's now played 4 games, Hanson's played 4 games, Embley's played 4 games, all from those injuries they've had. They are goal kickers. But one of those can kick, well, both of them, all of them can kick 3 goals. 9 from them, plus a few from the rest would be enough.
And when they really did struggle a bit, the Eagles, which was, say, the last 6 weeks of the season, those players you mentioned were not there. Exactly. Now they've had a month of football under their belt, so they've got to be in better shape.
Going to be fascinating to see how they line up forward for the Eagles. Plenty of questions, and they'll all be answered in just over an hour and a half's time here at the MCG. We'll take a break. The build-up continues, all the colour and the fun of grand final day. Everyone's enjoying it. Maybe the pressure on a little more inside the ground. Nick Davis having a yawn. Well, he's a pretty cool and calm customer. I wonder if he's going to be a hero again like he was a couple of weeks ago. His kick, of course, sinking the Cats and sending the Swans on their way to a preliminary final. And finally, a grand final, Luke Ablett. He'll have a big task as well this afternoon. Michael O'Loughlin, what a key he'll be. The build-up continues here on Network 10. And out will emerge the prize that everyone is looking for this afternoon. Who's going to be holding that at the end of the day? Will it be Paul Roos, perhaps, or John Worsfold? Speaking of Paul Roos, he's down and with Neil Cordy. Cords.
Yes, thanks, Hutto. Paul, how are the nerves right now?
Yeah, look, not too bad. I think as a coach you've got to realise at some point you've got to hand it over to the players, and it's up to them to do the job. So yeah, I've got still a few things to talk about, but pretty much our job's done now, and it's up to the boys.
What will your last words be to the players?
Oh, really, probably haven't exactly formulated that yet, but it's more about, look, it's 26 weeks into the season now, so it's just about they know what they need to do to win, and if we can play the way we want to do it, gives us a chance, and that's what you're reinforcing.
You were here as a player about 9 years ago. How's it feel as a coach?
Yeah, it's a lot different. You love to get out there and run around and have a kick, but look, I'm enjoying it, and I'm happy to be here, obviously.
You couldn't have a more settled lineup, could you?
Yeah, I think that's been a real strength for us, just our lack of injuries and our continuity with our team, and hopefully that'll help us today.
Paul, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thanks, Cord.
Hello, back to you, mate.
Thank you, Neil. Yes, as we see the rest of the Swans out there just stretching and warming up. The two coaches, great stories, both of them, both so composed. Wolsey and Blighty, what do you think? That they're young men and they're on the way to being very successful coaches by the look of it.
Yeah, they've got the pedigree, haven't they? Roos, particularly the way he played, went to Sydney, developed. John Worsfold, of course, always looked coaching material. Ironically, both of them, Tim and I interviewed them yesterday, both of them said they didn't definitively want to coach until it was presented to them, almost. Which I find that a bit strange. Robert, yourself, did you have that, you gradually, at the end of your playing days, thought about coaching?
I would have said halfway through my playing days, Malcolm, you were very conscious of putting down ideas and keeping all the handouts that you thought were worthwhile. And I'd be surprised if these boys didn't do that. Look, they're two very young coaches, and the power of the people certainly got the job for Paul Roos and Hutto. That looks pretty sad and telling, doesn't it?
It does, with the film material there with Michael Braun. Just before we leave the coaches, their winning percentage for coaches that have not won a flag yet, they're outstanding, and I guess it does give us the sign that, well, we know one of them's going to join the coaching ranks this afternoon as premiership coaches. It can make a big difference to your life, I guess. Blighty, can't you, whether you're a premiership coach or not?
Absolutely.
There they are, the winning percentage
Roos
without
would be
a flag.
The quickest to a flag since Alan Joyce in '88, who, under unusual circumstances, because Alan Jeans had a health scare, took over a very talented team and won a flag, I think, in about 26 games.
Let's go to Tim Gossage. He's got Peter Sumich, one of John Worsfold's assistants, and he might be able to confirm the lineup. Tim?
Hutto, he might be able to confirm it. He may be able to muddy the waters even further. There's 24 West Coast Eagles out there warming up, but I've noticed Travis Gasper's only got joggers on. Is he going to play?
Look, we'll decide probably in the next half an hour, but Philip Matera won't. And we're just having a look at Lynchy and Damien Atkins.
And Quinton Lynch is out there in his boots, also Damien Atkins. When was genuinely Philip Matera ruled out of this game? The rumour's gone back to about Wednesday night.
No, this morning.
And how did he rule himself out, or did medical staff? Or?
No, look, he ruled himself fit, and we had to make the decision, and as a match committee we made that decision.
How was that decision greeted by Phil? Obviously a player that's been around the club a long time, put a lot of effort to get this far.
Yeah, look, he was very disappointed, but I think deep down he knew too, even though he said he was fit, I think deep down he knew that he would struggle today.
In the last couple of days, I know you like a bet, some last couple of days, not on football mind you, but it seems to be an amazing turnaround. The Eagles are now going into this game underdogs.
Oh, so be it. Look, Sydney are a terrific side and they played well last week, so did we, but we think we got the edge, I suppose, because we had the extra week off, and hopefully if we can just grind them down a little bit and in the second half get on top.
Quinton Lynch, Damien Atkins, Travis Gasper, one of those is going to get a game.
That's right.
You're not going to give me any more.
Well, put it this way, you wouldn't think we'd change our side.
All right, thanks very much for your time. Good luck, Summer.
Thanks, mate.
Better so much there, boys.
Thank you, Tim.
Anthony, that's a pretty good clue. That's a small for a small then. That's Atkins.
So Gasper in or Lynch in for Gasper, would you think?
No, with Matera being out.
Yeah, but he's also raising the possibility that Lynch may play and Gasper misses.
Well, the plot thickens. We see them out there on the ground. So there's 24 players out there, 2 to come out.
I don't think they can go in too top heavy. I think they kicked 15 goals last week without Quinton Lynch. They've got, let's not forget, they've got Seaby and Cox, 2 giant ruckmen. And Gardner. I think we'll see stages today where Gardner will be up in the full forward line, Cox will be there as well, and Seaby will doing the ruck work. Now, I don't think there's a need for Quinton Lynch. Now, we're not too sure what the conditions are like on the ground itself. Certainly outside, it's very windy. And again, they've got to be careful, the Eagles, that they don't go in with a team that's too tall.
Would they seriously be deliberating, as Peter Sumich said, within an hour and a half of the bounce?
I have seen it in a final where a coach made a decision with about 30 minutes to go because the skies opened up. And obviously went a tall back to a small.
That's a bit different, isn't it, with the conditions change. It was interesting to see Paul Roos yesterday saying, it's too late for a rabbit out of the hat now. If you're going to do that at this stage, you're struggling. I just sort of wondered if there was a little message there for John Morsfeld or not.
Yeah, no, well, perhaps. I think it's been a really good decision that's been made by West Coast Eagles. And again, I'll go back. We saw, Malcolm and I both saw Philip Matera train yesterday. He did not move freely at all, and that would have been a huge risk to playing.
So Phil Matera is out. Let's go back to Neil Cordy this time. John Longmire.
Yes, John, some people think you've got the easiest job in the world as the forward coach with the talent up there. What are you looking for them today?
Just got to make sure we work together and put pressure on the opposition when they've got the footy. So as long as we've got that right, we'll be happy.
Do you think you need to have a couple of tricks up the sleeve in these sorts of matches?
I don't think really it's about tricks in grand finals. It's about how hard you attack the footy and looking after those things first. And as long as we get those things right, we'll be okay.
The build-up, a lot of these guys haven't been in this stage before. What sort of things do you look for in them?
Well, you just hope that they do take it in a bit. They've got to suck it in. You can't pretend it's not happening. But there certainly comes a point where you've got to really lock in and focus. And they've been pretty good, but I guess time will tell.
Do you have a number of goals in mind when you think about what it'll take to win?
Yeah, the number of goals that gives us one more than the opposition. That's all that matters, and that's all that we're worried about.
Fair call. Thanks for your time, John.
No worries.
Cheers. Back to you, Hunter.
Cords, while you're there, what is the conditions like down there? We know it's very windy and cold out here. Malcolm's whinging a bit, but what's it like out there on the ground?
It's look, it's really, there's a little bit of a breeze, but as always, it's swirling around here, but just about perfect conditions really for a grand final or any game of footy.
Do you hear that, Blighty? Perfect.
Hey, Malcolm and I are both whinging. It's blowing our hair around.
Look, this is great, isn't it? Just to watch this. This is what the grand final day is all about. Just, I guess, putting yourself in the feet of those guys.
Chris Judd, look, one of the reasons I wanted to see West Coast play in a grand final was to see Chris Judd perform on the day where it counted. And
he's done it so far in the finals, and there's nothing to indicate that he won't do it today.
I'm sure he won't disappoint. He is an absolute gun. Daniel Kerr's another one. Cousins, Fletcher, Stenglein will do the tagging job. This fella here, Cox, the ruckman, has he got a big job? And he was All-Australian ruckman, and deservedly so. He's had a wonderful season.
Sad tidings, perhaps a condolence call.
Yeah, but I think he knew probably some time ago, and deep down inside, as we said, he hasn't played a lot of footy in 6 weeks, and yeah, unfortunately, there's always a story like that every grand final.
Of course, his brother won a Norm Smith medal 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Blighty?
Oh, can I remember that?
Now, did you put a tag on his brother, or did you let him go?
No, well, put a very experienced player on him, which at half-time I thought he played pretty well. That was our captain, Mark Bairstow. He just kicked a few more goals than Mark, that was all. I thought Mark was okay.
Well, what about the Swans then? As we said, they're so settled. So how much does that make a difference, Blighty and Rob, going in being that without the changes and going into the day?
In all fairness, I don't reckon it matters. I reckon the guy that's coming in, he's a bit of an unknown. He can actually sneak up under the guard. I don't think it matters. The only thing is if you get too many of them out, it does unsettle you a bit. But these blokes would be... No. I'll answer the question. I don't reckon it matters. I reckon people overplay it.
Just interrupt you for a moment. Back to Tim Gossage is with one of the unlucky ones, Michael Braun.
Michael's grand final day. You held yourself your head up during the week. Does it hurt a bit more today?
Yeah, it was. I was in the change rooms, congratulating the boys and wishing them all the best. And it's very tough. And that's emotional about the game. That's why I love the football so much. And all the best to the boys today.
You've been out on the ground with them. It's been very casual warm-up, so to speak. The look in the eye of your teammates. You've been there all year. What's your view?
Yeah, the boys are pumped. We've worked extremely hard, all year, and I'm sure Cuzzy and the boys are going to go very hard and set the standard early, and hopefully bring the cup home.
And you're going to ride every kick, every bump, every bruise. You're going to be in the coach's box. It's going to be a tough day at the office for you.
That's right, you know, I suppose I can't be out there. The next best thing is in the box, so, you know, see how it all works up there, and, you know, I'm just hopefully I can hold it together, and, you know, I'm just really looking forward to it.
On a week of tragedy, you've held yourself in great esteem. You should be very proud of your efforts. Well done.
Right, thanks, guys. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Tim, and Michael Braun.
Yes, Malcolm, just a question to you. In the grand finals that you coached with Geelong and with Adelaide, was there any grand final that you went into as a coach where you felt supremely confident?
No, not one, Robert. I always started as the underdogs for some reason or other, because even in those days you were coming from a preliminary final, even as a player. So to have a week off, I'm not sure. I never, and even by public opinion, never coached a favourite. However, I think even if you did, you'd still have the butterflies. I mean, I just can't imagine not going into a grand final and not having any emotion to it.
Can you blokes imagine or recall a grand final where the matchup has been so clear-cut? Here you have a team with the most brilliant midfield against a team largely of midfield stoppers, although that's to undersell the Swans.
Yep.
Whereas the team with the lesser midfield has the forwards and probably has the more competent defence.
Yeah.
It is an unusual mix, isn't it?
It is, and that's why it's an intriguing game, because we're going to see a bit of everything.
We'll find out which is the more important in a sense.
Yes, look, what was good about Sydney last week when they played St Kilda, they had half a dozen just smashes out at the centre bounce with the big fist from the ruckman Ball and Jolly, and it really did go thumping into their forward line. They pretty much play with only 4 forwards, Sydney, and that gives space to O'Loughlin and Hall, O'Keefe and Davis, and they are patient. 13 goals. Now, 13 goals, whenever Sydney's kicked 13 goals, they have won this year. And now that's not a lot of goals, but it's got them over the line, got them victory in every game that they've played where they've kicked 13, they've won. And they'll do it, you know, they'll have quarters where they kick 1 or 2 goals, and some halves where they might only kick 4, but they do enough to get over the line.
All right, we'll get you to get the Primus whiteboard out after the break. It's great to see the support here from Wolsey too, from behind the crowd. They've really been supporting Robert, which is terrific.
A lot of love in the air.
Lot of love in the air indeed. We'll take a break here from the MCG. Plenty more to come. We're not much more than an hour away. The entertainment will be with us shortly. Thank you, Neil. Powerful stuff indeed with Neil Cordy. There's Richard Collis and Mike Willisey. Of course, Richard Collis, he was the inaugural chairman of the West Coast Eagles, and here he is now as the chairman and president of the Sydney Swans. Well, time to get stuck in now to the whiteboard. We've got our coaches here, Tim. We're going to put them under the pressure. How are they going to line up? Wolsey, we're starting with you, the West Coast forward line.
Well, if we have a look at the West Coast forward line, and we'll have a look, and in that top right-hand corner we've got Philip Matera. Well, we know he's not playing, and I think Damien Atkins will replace him. There's a possibility that Daniel Chick could go forward, as he did last week. Confident that Gardner will play at full forward, Barry his opponent. Bolton will play in defence for the Swans. Maybe Staker could be there. I think Cox could go forward at some stage. And then you've got Kennelly on a half-back flank, probably to take Sampy. Roberts-Thompson, I'm confident he'll play centre-half-back on Hansen, so you've got 2 youngsters there. And Ben Matthews has been doing a really good close-down jobs on some quality players. It could be Ben Cousins, it could be a Daniel Kerr, but he'll be assigned one of the very best, and his job will be to cut their disposals in half, and he's done that very well through the final series.
Yes, it was Kerr that got off the leash early, wasn't it, in the last time they met? Blighty, take us through the midfield then, as you said. What are we looking for here?
Well, I honestly thought when I did this, I thought, well, Paul Roos will make a change, because the Eagles smashed him in the midfield in that Perth game. They should have been much further behind. However, knowing Paul Roos and talking to him yesterday, I've got a funny idea he actually might go back to what he went that day, and that would be with Williams running with Cousins, and as you can see there, we just come now into the midfield. So this probably won't mean anything now after my rethought, but we will go through it. There's one thing that I would love to see Crouch on Judd. I wonder if they'll give Ablett the chance, Robert, as they did last time. Crouch with his pace, tenacity, but there we've got Ablett on Kerr, but I agree with you. I think that Matthews will get him now. You could do this 100 times, couldn't you, and still get it wrong. Kirk and Fletcher probably looks about right of the rest of the left.
Yes. The loss of Matera is to the Swans' advantage, isn't it, in that it releases Crouch?
It does. And I think Crouch is the toughest player to get a kick against, and as such, he may well go to Chris Judd.
Yeah.
Now, also, we don't have, with the entertainment's not far away, we don't have time to actually look at the matchups in the Sydney forward line, but how do you think they'll line up?
Well, in the Sydney forward line, Barry Hall, of course, I would think Glass would play on him. He did a good job a few weeks ago. You've then got O'Keefe, maybe Banfield will play on him. O'Loughlin, now Chick did a good job on O'Loughlin a few weeks ago. I think Chick might start back there. And then you've got Davis on the other half forward flank. Buchanan and Schneider starting in the middle and pushing hard forward once the ball goes over the 50-metre line.
Can I get a final selection and maybe a Norm Smith medalist from all of you? Tim?
Well, the more I look at it, Hutto, the more convinced I am that the Swans are going to win their first flag since 1933. I think the weather conditions favour them. The wind will make it hard to play really skilled football. They are exactly as David Wade told us in that terrific interview. They're ready to take on anything in their path.
Blighty?
No, I think the Eagles have been the best team all year. I think their midfield's great, their defence is handy, and I think that perhaps if someone like an Andrew Embley can bob up with 3 or 4 goals and win the medal.
One we haven't talked about, and you, Malcolm?
Sydney to win, Robert. I know we're both old. Sydney and Daniel Kerr. Norm Smith medalist.
All right, well,
Brett Kirk for me.
Brett Kirk for you, Tim. I'll go for Ben Cousins to make it a double, and I'll stick with the Eagles to win. It's going to be a fantastic match. The entertainment, well, it's been talked about all week. It's coming up now.
I came from the dream time, from the dusty red soil place. I am the ancient high, the keeper of the flame. I stood upon the rocky shores, I watched the tall ships come. For 40,000 years I've been the first Australian. 'Cause we are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share our dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. I came upon the prison ship, bound down by iron chains. I cleared the land, endured the lash, and waited for the rains. I am a settler, I am a farmer's wife, a convict and a free man. I became Australian. 'Cause we are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share our dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. Sing with me, 'cause we are one, but we